Yep. So the session is titled "How can you get into tech, and how can the community help?" So there's quite a lot of things involved here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you a bit more about myself. So I'm Alexio Chandwana. I'm a functional consultant. So my day-to-day role at the moment is working with business teams, understanding their requirements, document those, and where possible, do some configuration or produce proof of concept for any of these organizations. So I'm a freelance. So at the moment, working with a membership organization to make sure they have all the requirements to what they need to their project. I'm also contactable on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Please feel free to connect for those who wish to do so. So I have a little bit of an agenda of what I need to tell you or what I would need to discuss here. So it's more of my journey, how I found myself with this thing called Dynamics, and how you can also get started yourself with Dynamics 365 for the Power Platform. So there's how you can get started, but the question is, we keep hearing this thing community, how it can help you. So it's these things we need to cover. So to start off here, I'm going to tell you about my journey. So my journey in itself, it started from zero. That's how I translated, and that's how I've got this slide here as a blank. My role, I was working as a revenue or ticket person, working on the trains, annoying people early mornings or people who are tired going home, annoying those people checking their tickets. And at some point, I started asking myself questions. I said, I need to do something. What else can I do? So started looking at different things, retail, started looking at IT, things like SharePoint, things like IT support, Dynamics CRM came into the conversation. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, let me go look online. So, you know, looking online, sometimes if you don't know what you're looking for, it's like going into a big supermarket and you don't know what you want to buy. So you keep going around the aisles and you're not so sure where to go. So at some point, I got the flavor. I said, okay, I think IT is the way forward. Let me look at that. So I thought, let me look for people to ask. So I started going on Facebook. While on Facebook, um, what amazed me was how much people were so responsive. People started responding, giving me some ideas. So in one in particular, I managed to find myself a mentor. So I did ask for permissions from him if I can share this with everyone. So in here, what you can see, this was back in 2015. So I don't know exactly where I am. I don't know what I want to do. So I'm asking these questions. And one of the things which came out of here is some of these questions I was being asked. I was straight up, I was honest. I said, look, I don't have any experience at all. I want you to help me. And one of the things as well, which I've learned during this journey, this gentleman here, he's got his own day job, but again, he has that will to help others. So we started asking questions, and then he says to me, "Look, I'm going to guide you to where you want to get to. So there are two things here. You can go for Dynamics or SharePoint, but he specializes in Dynamics. So he says, I can guide you with Dynamics because that's my area of expertise. If you want SharePoint, I can look for someone else who can help you." So started asking questions. If you can see these messages, most of them are very late in the day. One of the questions here for anyone looking to get started with the technology, when asking people, it's very good to ask when it's convenient to speak to these people because they also have day jobs they have to do, they have family, they have friends or things to do. So here, after 10 o'clock, between 10 and midnight was the great time we could discuss this. So started learning YouTube, looking online, and then one of the things my mentor then says to myself is go and get a trial environment, play around with the technology, have a feel of what it is. So he sent me a link of where to get this trial environment, set up the trial environment. I'm now in there, and I can see account record. I can see contacts, which are the dummy data you get with the trial. So at that point, I'm like, okay, great. I can see something. I don't know where to go. I don't know what's happening in the back end. So I went back and I said, oh, I've got the trial environment, and this is what I can see. So I think I get what is there. So in short, I didn't know what an account was. So I said to him, look, I can see what is here. So he says to me, okay, it's great to go to a trial environment, but what I want you to do is to understand exactly what these things means. So he started telling me about looking at entities, looking at forms, looking at the actual configuration of a Dynamics environment. So, okay, so how do I do that? So he says to me, I'm going to give you tasks for you to go away and do, and come back and give me some feedback. So one of the things I wanted to do myself as well, I also wanted to be proactive. So started pushing, understanding these things. Then at some point, the mentor says, you know what, I think you're going in the right direction. One of the things I want you to do is to go and pay for a course. So I was like, okay, great. I'll go and pay for a course. So I got a link to one of the training providers. And this course was about 5,000 for 5 days. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't even have that money. So what am I going to do? So I was honest again. I said, look, I don't have that money. And it's not something I can afford. Is there something else I can use to understand dynamics, to understand the technology? So he said, oh, let me look around. And if you can yourself look around as well for training providers in London. So started looking at training providers. Then I managed to come across a training provider at Liverpool Street in London. Paid 3,200 for 5 days. So went to this 5-day training. So I'm in there. I got there. There's quite a variety of an audience. There's consultants. There's solutions architects. And I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here? So to my surprise, when I was there, everyone in that training class again, they were very friendly. They were very welcoming. So I was like, look, for me, I'm a new starter. I do not have an idea of what's happening here. So during that training class, again, the power of the community came into effect. People started saying, okay, these are my contact details. Keep in touch. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So after the training, went back home, again, feeding back, doing self-reflection myself, looking at where I am. So I was honest. I said to my mentor, look, the 5 days was awesome. I met some new people, but I didn't get anything. So the only thing I can think of doing myself is to look at the training material and go through it myself. So spent quite a few sleepless nights because I was really, really into it. I really wanted to get somewhere. So at some point during that journey, we had a feedback call. So my mentor says, look, I think you're at a point where you can go to the market. So make a CV, give me your CV, and I'll look at it. So the very first part of it, the CV was 5 pages. So he says, no, let's not do that. So he says that CV is too long. So again, it's one of those things. Again, the mentor was very transparent with myself, and that feedback in itself is something I took very well because I wanted to make sure I get things right and I go in the right direction. So during that process, made about 4 applications because I was really, really keen to get into a role. So been to Leeds, been to Southampton, I've been to most of the parts of the UK, and the first 4 times it didn't go down too well. And one of the things I started learning during those processes, interview processes, was to sit down, do a self-reflection to say, okay, this worked well in this interview, and I think I could have done this better, or I've done this well, but I need to improve. So eventually got a call from an organization, a consulting organization in London. So this was on a Friday. And on that Friday, got the interview. So I now I've now prepared myself. I've been transparent with the hiring manager. I said, look, I don't have any experience myself, but this is what I've been doing to push myself further. So the hiring manager said, okay, that's fine. I'm going to ask you some questions and give me the answers, your understanding to them. So to my disbelief, after 9 minutes of that interview, the hiring manager said, I'm going to give you the opportunity. So can you start on Monday? So at that point, I'm really scared. So I wasn't too sure what to expect on the working day. So I said, is it okay for me to start on Tuesday? Because I need to kind of clear some things, because I was trying to make sure I prepare myself mentally to make sure when I start, I get it right. So Tuesday come, and I've now arrived at this organization. We're still using post-it notes. Planner, DevOps were not around at that time for this organization. So I'm looking around, and given I've applied for a role as a first line support. So the hiring manager has now said to me, we're going to do an introduction of the team so you know who is who. So at this point, I'm first line support. It's okay, no problem. Just behind me, there's a team of 4 colleagues sitting there. And then the hiring manager is introducing me to these guys and say, Alex is the specialist. He's now the escalation point if you have any issues. So that's when I'm thinking, what's going on here? How am I going to manage to actually handle any of these issues these guys are having? So it didn't put me off. In some sense, it kind of pushed me a bit more to kind of understand exactly what's happening. So started with this organization. It was a consulting organization. They had about 71 clients. So at that point, started looking around to see within the organization the dynamics of going through. 3 days later, a change request comes in. So this change request is about 6 pages. So I'm looking at this change request. I'm thinking, okay, I haven't done this, so I'm not gonna go around and pretend like I know everything. So the first thing I did at that point, I decided to print off the change request, went to sit outside at lunchtime, started looking at it to understand exactly what is required. I wanted to make sure I understand what is being asked of me. So in sometimes it's the first time of doing this. So I went back after lunch. I went to my hiring manager. Said, "Look, this change request. Yep, I'm happy to take it on, but it's my first time doing such a thing. Can I shadow someone in doing such a task?" So I was assigned someone. So the person said, "Okay, you sit here, and I'll sit here. You tell me what needs to be done, your understanding of it, and I'll tell you of the process we take." So at that point, we're in the dev environment. I've kind of have the flavor now. I need to add some option sets. I need to relabel some fields. I need to add some new fields. So I'm like, okay, you've shown me the first page and a half. Let me look at the rest and see if I can do it myself. So at that point, managed to do it. But apart from just doing this change, I also started documenting of the process I took in doing such a task. So eventually, within that organization, started asking myself, what else can I do to get better? Apart from myself spending time looking online. So I started looking around, came across user groups. So registered to one of the Dynamics UGs, the London one. That was my first UG I ever attended. So thank you guys who organized that event. It's always awesome. So at that event, I'm a new person. I don't know much about the technology of what else is out there. So I'm going to sit right at the back because I don't really want to interact with many people. I was very nervous. So at some point or another, lunchtime came across, and then I'm now having lunch outside. I'm in my own little corner. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's great. I'm learning some things, some use cases from other people. So yeah, the name Chris Huntingford, I hear the name Neil Parkhurst. Then these 2 gentlemen, they approached me and they started a conversation. So this is considering someone they don't know, but again, it's the community aspect of it where they're like, okay, this person is part of us, is a family, we need to be together. So we started having a conversation and said, okay, let's just change LinkedIn. And from then on, I started looking to build on that. So anyone who speaks to Chris, if you ask him, normally I bug him in his inbox to say, okay, I'm trying to achieve this. Where do I go? Or in some cases, if I have things I need explanation and resources to look at. So again, it's one of those things which have come out of it. So to get started with this, from my own personal experience, the honest element of it is very important. Reason being, if you go into an organization and the honest element of it is not there, one of the things which could happen there, it could cause a loss in revenue to an organization. So being honest is very, very important. Paying attention. So when a task is being given to yourself and you're starting off, one of the things I've learned is to pay attention, to understand exactly what is being required, and where possible to ask the questions to say, okay, this is what you're asking out of me. Um, I have an issue here where I don't understand this. In some cases, also contribute to the conversation. So in my own personal experience, contributing to a conversation brings a lot of joy and a lot of more understanding as well, because things are explained in clearer terms and you understand exactly a requirement. So in some cases, you might get someone helping you. You might get anyone saying to you, okay, this is what you have, or you might see a blog written by somebody who's sharing the knowledge, also being proactive. So in some cases, it's very nice. We take away this knowledge from others, but also being proactive to go and say, okay, understand what you're saying here, but I've also been looking at this specific area. So now the question which is there is, where do you get started with Dynamics 365 or the Power Platform? There's a lot of things out there, right? You have blogs, you have YouTube, you have Microsoft events, you have community events. The very first important thing here is to focus, to learn, to try the technology, and also push yourself to certify. So when we say focus, Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform area is such a huge space. So we have ERP solutions, we have CRM solutions, we have modular solutions, AI solutions, mixed reality, the Power Platform in itself. So as you can see, it's quite a lot. It's a big space for you to just say, okay, I'm going to learn everything. Um, in sometimes it can take you forever, and sometimes it might be impossible. So the very first thing here is for you to make that decision to say, okay, this is the area of focus I want to focus on. I want to focus on ERP solutions, or if you're looking at the Power Platform, focus on it. So you need to make that decision to say, okay, this is exactly what I need to understand. This is the direction of travel I'll be going towards. Once you make that decision, what do you need to do? The next thing is for you to learn. So the learning process, very, very important process here. So on this slide here, Microsoft, they've been very generous over the years. They give you the learning material for free. So in this slide, I just got an example. This is the app maker uh, learning learning path. So you can look to say, okay, I'm going to go to this direction. So you can see this link here. I'm going to go to the link shortly and show you exactly what's available from Microsoft Learn. So again, you have things, resources. If you see in here, creating a Canvas app is scheduled for 2 hours, 23 minutes. Again, who is it for? It's for a beginner, someone like myself back in time, or even myself to improve myself. It can be for a business user or anyone using the Power Platform. So you got to look and say, okay, you've decided your focus. Now I'm going to learn this. And when you start learning, make sure you give everything to it. So This free material, this self-paced learning material, it doesn't learn itself. It is there for a purpose. So if you push yourself to it to say, okay, this is what I have, this is what I'm going to do. So once you learn it, as we know, reading something and the reality of doing it is completely two different things. So go to the next step and then try the technology. Power Platform, Dynamics 365. Start trying, start seeing exactly what's around the technology. How do you get there? So in this slide here, you have trials.dynamics.com. You also have the other side, which give you some guidance of how to set up a Power Platform trial environment. And in here, you have a screenshot of what you see when you have this Dynamics 365 environment. So again, back in time when I started, I was approached with the legacy interface, and I could see some of these records. I could see these dashboards, and I was thinking, okay, great. So what you see here, it's you have the Microsoft Learn platform. You are learning from there, and you're coming to implement your skills here. Why is it very important? When you happen to go to a role or when you apply for a job. So this is not just for someone who's starting zero without IT knowledge. It could be anyone who has a current career right now and they're deciding to switch careers to come to technology space. So this is freely available for you to learn. So you've decided what you want to do. You have learned the platform, you have given it a try. You now know your ways around it, you know what things mean, and you know how things are done. So, what is the next thing to do? One of the things which I've become passionate about myself is to go and try myself and certify myself. So, in my personal case, the very first exam I went to do, it went horribly wrong. So I failed. And when I failed, I didn't just sit back and say, okay, I failed. That's fine. I'll try again later. Straight away, I looked at the areas where I failed in and I started learning more. I started giving attention to those areas. Then I went for the exam again. So again, the power of the community. On the 12th of December, there is a certification Saturday. So again, this is a platform which is again by community people sharing their expertise on how to best prepare for specific exams or how they even go around certifying these things. And again, once you have certified, what is the next goal? So again, this is again an event I would definitely recommend anyone looking to go the path of certifying. I will open up the page after we go through these slides, and you can actually see how you can actually register yourself and see how you can actually go through that journey. So you've gone through these steps. I think maybe you've got to the point of certifying and you are into a role. The next thing is you want to understand, okay, if I get stuck or if I need to get some help, what's the next move? What is help? What help is available? So again, today we had the user group. Uh, a lot of the community leaders here, they spend a lot of time to make these things happen. And thank you so much to them. So within those user groups, you can hear what is coming from Microsoft. You can also hear some use cases, best practices, and also make new connections. Why is it very important to make new connections? So in some cases, you can make a connection, you connect on LinkedIn, you connect on Twitter. In some cases, that person might share some information which might be useful to you. And in some cases, that person can also learn from you. Why is connecting very important? That's how the community gets stronger and expand because we learn, right? So connected thing is get involved. So in some cases, in my own personal experience, back in 2015, I used to be the one sitting there looking at people's blogs, looking up what people are posting and say, okay, that's a bit interesting. Let me go and try it. So I make the journey and I said to myself, I want to get involved. So that's where I started blogging. If I see something interesting, I'll share that information for everyone to benefit from. Microsoft events. So these Microsoft events, again, Microsoft and the team, they do quite a lot of work in the background to make sure they tell us what's coming and the new functionality, or in some cases, the roadmap in itself. So for Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform, there's two major releases a year. So Microsoft beforehand, they'll have a launch. They'll share with us exactly what's there. They'll share documentation. So it's also important to attend these events. And again, Microsoft, they want everyone to have this on their hands. They make these resources available for free. So back then, I didn't have access myself, but again, now we all know it is there. If you don't understand something within those resources, you have made a connection, you've been to a user group, ask a question. There is bound to be someone out there who knows how to answer that question better for you. So again, there's quite a lot of resources available. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I tend to inbox people and say, look, when you have a chance, do you mind kind of guiding me on this? A very good example, which you'll see shortly, I'll show you, is the power of Twitter. So we're going to go to the resources themselves. So on here, we have Microsoft Learn, we have Cloud Blogs, we have Bot Squad, the hashtag on Twitter, Power Addicts, Flow Farm, and virtual events. So I'm going to bring my screen where I have those things. So if I can get somebody to just either say yes in the chat window to say they can see this Microsoft Learn screen. If someone can say yes, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. So here you're at Microsoft Learn. So in here, what Microsoft have done is they've divided, this is now role-based. So you can now do role-based self-paced learning. So in here, we spoke about the Power Platform, which is App Maker. In here, you can go for that. We spoke about Functional Consultant. So again, we're going to start with the App Maker. So again, what you see in here, it starts telling you the learning path, which is to create a Canvas app, automate business processes, create model-driven applications. So the information in itself, there's quite a lot in here. It goes. So again, that's where the initial phase is very important to focus on the path you want to go on. Because if you are not 100% right on the path you want to go onto, what you'll see, you'll get here, there is App Maker. You also have Functional Consultant. You also have Solution Architect. There's quite a lot of resources here, and they are updated frequently. So once you're here, you see there's quite a lot of things. So if you haven't made that decision to say, this is the direction of travel I'm going into, you might end up getting to this place and it gets a bit messy. So it's very, very important we do that. We spoke about Cloud Blogs site. So in here, you have a site dedicated for some of these Microsoft technologies. So in here, we're talking about the Power Platform. We're talking about Dynamics 365. So when we go into Power Platform as an example, what we'll see in here, we now have things related to the Power Platform, Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents. So you can start seeing some updates, some of the blogs coming from Microsoft, and also things which you can take away and say, okay, I can see this is coming, or I can see a case study for a specific organization and just understand exactly how that has come about. So it's very, very important to keep ourselves up to date. Most of the time, again, if you have that connection with somebody, if you don't have time to come here, normally it flags up on LinkedIn, someone will share it, just open it, see what's in there, and where possible, if it's applicable, learn from it. So we then go to the power of Twitter. So if you're looking at bots and you've come across an issue or you want to share something related to bots, you have the hashtag bot squad you can use here. So you can see some of our community and our colleagues in here sharing some items on Twitter. So what I all tend to do myself when I see such things, I tend to look at it and then where possible, get involved in the conversation. Why is it important to get involved in the conversation? It gives you an opportunity to also either share what could be helpful for that person, and in return, you can also understand to say, okay, this is a better path to go to. So you have bot squad. You also have flow farm. So flow farm, this is again a dedicated hashtag for Power Automate. So again, you go in here, you start seeing things, and I'm sure most of us know this colleague here, John. So again, you start seeing things, and most of the time it's things which can be really, really useful. And most of the time, these people are taking their time to share these things as well. So we also ought to appreciate that. So again, you have an issue with the Power Platform. If you can see here, you also have Power Addict. So you can also, either you have an issue, you want to share something, please share with these hashtags. There's either someone either had the same issue or an experience like yours to share, and we can all learn together. We are going to go to virtual power group events. For those who are in the initial session, this events in here, this is again the power of the community. They spend their time, they organize some learning sessions. Again, how much is it? It's a free platform for you to sign up, go and learn, go and share your experiences, contribute to the conversation. So again, there's quite a lot of things for us to dive into. There's quite a lot of things for us to learn from. Local user groups. So in terms of local user groups, they are worldwide. And due to the unfortunate circumstances we find ourselves in right now, you are able to attend any of these events. So it could be an event in the Americas region, anywhere in the globe. There are virtual events. Join in, learn, connect, make new friends. So again, this is a team which sits down, they make sure these things are available to us. So if you see, there's a long list of these communities, these groups where you also have upcoming events in here. So again, in terms of what is there to support your journey, what is there for you to go to the next level, there is quite a lot of material available. So in some cases, you also want to ask a question apart from Twitter, apart from these events. You also have experience.dynamics.com. So in here, you can go into the community site. You can look at the useful resources in here. So in here, if you go into community, what you see straight away, you see some of our community stars in here. You can start asking a question. So it's good to ask a question. Like I said earlier, it's always a learning journey for all of us every day. But when you see someone asking a question and you've come across that experience, please feel free to dive in there, share your answer or share your experiences. That's how we can actually make this work. So again, for me personally, when I started, I used to come in this here and I still come up to date, asking questions, looking what's going on around. And apart from just coming into this community area, if you have an idea which you might need Microsoft to look at, please feel free to submit your idea here of what you might need, or what you think might be ideal for the product. So ideally, what tends to happen is there's a lot of people submitting. If you see in here, there's a lot of submissions in here, and then you kind of start seeing some people with these ideas. So in some cases, if it's a specific area of learning, look at that area first just to make sure you're not duplicating what's out there already anyway. But again, there is a lot of things for us, everyone, to look at together and to learn from. So another place which you have, we spoke about trials for you to start off a trial. So what you see in here, again, you've decided the area you want to focus on. You can now set up a trial from this area. So again, you go and sign up here, and then you follow the process. And then if you happen to be not so sure on how to actually set up this trial, please feel free to ask somebody or to actually look at the documentation as well on how to achieve this. So you got this here. It gives you 30 days for you to try to learn it, to actually see what is within the tech. Again, with the trials themselves, in terms of the Power Platform, there are multi ways you can actually set up these trials. So I just shown you this trials.dynamics, and you also have the Power Platform Admin Center. And you have two more ways of creating trials, but those are subscription based. So again, there's quite multi ways. And again, Microsoft make it clear with these documentations for you to come and look at and say, okay, this is for me. This is what I'm going to go to. And in some cases, just as a knowledge, something you need to keep in mind yourself. So during this pandemic, one of the things, again, which I found very useful myself, to look and see what's happening out there. So it's this virtual event hub. So this is something which was created by Chris Huntingford, and is managed by Carl Cookson and other community team members. So again, this here, it's a virtual hub. There's a calendar you can subscribe to, and this calendar will appear either in your Outlook or the calendar facility you use. Why the virtual event hub? So one of the benefits I found myself, we spoke about the user groups, we spoke about the events happening globally. I then have something, a placeholder in my calendar. So I can look at something and say, okay, there's something happening in Canada. I want to join in. I want to hear and learn something. I want to contribute. So in some cases, you look at these events, there is a call for speakers. If you're in a position to speak, please feel free to submit a session. If you want to be an attendee, again, sign up to these events and then see what's actually happening in the other parts of the world. In some cases, we can be sitting here thinking, okay, we know most of it, so I don't need much. But the more you dive into these things, you start knowing. So these links, they are within the slides, which will be available to share. So you can also look at this if you haven't joined yet. So we spoke about certifying yourself. So this is the site for Certification Saturday. There is quite a interesting sessions taking place here. So feel free to dive into the site and register. So once you register, come the 12th, you're in there, you understand the journey of how you learn. Some of the methods others use, we all learn differently. So just understand, okay, that works well for this person. Is this something along my way, or is there something different I can do myself to actually understand what I need to prepare for? And what is it I can use to prepare for this? What material do I need to go look? So most of these exams, they give you a breakdown of the areas they'll actually test you on. So it's very, very important you look at those as well. So speaking of events, one of another community event, one of the big ones coming up as well, which is in Scotland, is the Scottish Summit. So there's quite a lot of events taking place here. I think over 300 sessions, so many different tracks in different languages. Again, this is a free event. So there is a team of people here who sit down to make these things available. So these things are just not happening themselves. So they sit down. You can only imagine the magnitude of having 300+ sessions taking place in one day. So again, feel free to get a free ticket, choose a track of some of the things you want to learn, and then make use of those things. And then hopefully on the next one, we can see some others contributing to these events as well. So to the slides. So in the beginning, I mentioned when I was getting help from my mentor, I did ask how much it would cost for me to pay him to learn. So as part of that, I've taken it within myself to be out there to help others. So of course, we have Microsoft Power Platform Africa community. So this is not just for Africa alone, but it is for anyone across the globe. It's open for you to join. So you can join if you want to learn how to start your journey, if you want to share your experiences, and also if you want to get involved in helping others embark on this journey. So again, it is for everyone. There's no boundaries. So it's just a name, but feel free to join, please. So again, this is something I've started doing to help others to make sure they understand there is something to look for. So one of the things here is again to make our community stronger. You can find Power Platform Africa community on Facebook. You can find myself on Twitter. You can find myself on LinkedIn. I do happen to share things myself, but I'll be really keen to look at some of the things you're sharing as well. So please feel free to connect. On LinkedIn as well, we also have a group, which is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Power Platform Africa community. So again, feel free to join, request to join, and then let's share and have fun. So on that note, just being time conscious, I just want to ask, do we have any questions? Please feel free to ask anything.
There are no questions in the chat, Alexio. If there's anyone that has any questions, please feel free to take yourself off mute, and Alexio will be able to answer the question now.
Hi, Alexio.
Hi, Andrew.
I didn't actually have a question. I just wanted to.
You're very faint, Andrew.
Am I sorry? Okay.
Hello. I think Andrew's mic is acting up.
Yeah, you're very faint.
About that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
The backup option. Sorry, I don't know why it does that. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say it was a really good session. Really, very. Your speaking style is very measured, and you took us on that journey through your experience and shared some really good knowledge there. So, just thank you for presenting. It's been really good.
Thank you.
So Ian Thomas is typing something. So he's asking what your current role is. What is your current role?
So at the moment, I'm a functional consultant, and I'm working towards being a solution architect. So at the moment, freelance functional consultants. I work with organizations, and I work with external parties as well with implementations, making sure the requirements are being met.
Oh, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'm conscious of time. Alexia will be around throughout the day, so please feel free to grab him or connect with him on social media. And if you could all take yourselves off mute and give him a massive round. Thank you so much, Alexia.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, so I'm going to stop recording now.